Good afternoon, everyone. I'm having the great pleasure to hold one of the keynotes today during the Digital Asset Custody and Blockchain Security track. The title of today's keynote is Smart Accounts, the Future of Digital Asset Custody. During the next 10 to 15 minutes, we will quickly run through the evolution of the internet, the digital asset custody systems we see, and also outlining all of the benefits smart accounts are providing as opposed to externally owned accounts. But before diving into the details, let me quickly set the stage by introducing myself and the company I'm representing. My name is Christoph Simchen. I'm from Germany. I'm a qualified capital market lawyer, and also co-founder of Safe, formerly known as Gnosis Safe. Safe is the leading smart account infrastructure in the broader Ethereum ecosystem. And just in the words of our industry, and by the mantra of don't trust, verify, we can underline our leading position with on-chain provable numbers. Safe's leading position is manifested in the fact that we are having 8 million accounts in total, securing over $100 billion worth of crypto assets. This equals 5% of all crypto assets and is like just the beginning of the adoption of smart accounts. But it's even more important to realize that those assets are not stored in a kind of novel cold storage solution or vault, but they are rather treated in actively managed accounts. And this can be seen that we are right now having in total 42 million transactions and an average monthly trading volume of $5 billion. But now let us go into the reasons for this adoption. Smart accounts are one of the major innovations of our industry. And we are here at the Web3 festival, and it's called Web3 for a reason, because there was Web 1 in the early 90s, and this era was characterized by the element that users could consume data from the internet. Afterwards, in the 2000s, the Web 2 wave came across, and it was characterized by the fact that users could interact with the web by publishing or posting information, particularly on social media. This is what the reading era was. And then in 2009, with the innovation of Bitcoin, we saw the beginning of Web 3. And this was the first time in history where we can really own data and digital assets. And this ownership is manifested in the wallet and account structures. And now, in our industry, we are pretty much seeing two types of accounts. On the one hand, we are having externally owned accounts, which are characterized by the fact that they are controlled by a single private key. And on the other hand, we are seeing smart accounts which are controlled by code. During the next couple of minutes, we will dive into the benefits and disadvantages of those setups and explain why we are under the impression that just smart accounts are able to unlock mass adoption. So, one of the major shortcomings of externally owned accounts are that private keys are a single point of failure. So we know for a fact that billions of dollars are lost because users have lost their access credentials or got hacked. And even if you're losing your access credentials, it's a major blocker to recover your assets if you need to rely on a 12-word recovery phrase. This is nothing we should use to enable mass adoption. Another risk is counterparty risk. Given all of the complexity we see right now in Web 3, it's not unusual that users are opting to use custodians by default. And also, in the motto of our industry, not your keys, not your coins, when using a custodian, you are facing the counterparty risk. And this is also something we need to address and we need to be sure about. Given all of these limitations, our industry came to the conclusion that we can do better when it comes to account. And this pretty much went viral last year under the meme of account abstraction. Just to be sure, Safe is and has always been account abstraction, and account abstraction equals smart accounts. And we will now go into some of the benefits smart accounts provide over externally owned accounts. The first one, and the most obvious one, is just the pure setup of a multi-signature wallet. Just using several private keys is already a security improvement over a single private key account. But it's fair to say that it's one of the biggest misunderstandings that smart accounts in general, and Safe in particular, are just multi-sigs. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Those accounts are so much more, because in fact they are fully programmable accounts and can provide even more sophisticated security guarantees, which can be utilized by both retail users and highly professional organizations. Just to give some examples, we see right now more and more usage of spending policies, deny and allow lists, where you can have predefined rules which allow or deny your account to interact with several protocols. Another one is that you can have it as sophisticated as pretty much mirroring all of your corporate governance into the account. You can say that person X is just allowed to transfer assets up to the amount of A and just during working hours without actually need to trust your employees. This all can be dealt with on a technical level. But even more, smart accounts are not just providing security improvements. They are also providing like a better user experience. In the background behind me, you see like a couple of fairly simple transactions from an economic perspective. But if you are using externally owned accounts as of today, you are forcing users to understand all of those steps and to sign all of those steps. And this is easily overwhelming for them. What smart accounts can do by means of so-called transaction batching, for instance, is just to batch all of these economic transactions into one atomic transactions and just trigger it. And this is actually how it should be. Just imagine, like all of us are using like the internet on a daily basis, and I guess like just a few of us know how TCP/IP is working in detail. And this is also like how we should treat like our financial infrastructure. But even more, let's switch gears. We can also come to another benefit of smart accounts, which is actually fairly similar to the situation with the red pill and the blue pill in the movie Matrix. Because right now, we are forcing users to make a binary decision. Either way, they are going with a full self-custodial setup, being under full control of their assets, being able to have a portable account, but this is coming at the cost of the requirement to understand all of the transactions, and you also need to be highly educated to actually use those accounts properly. On the other hand, you can opt in to go with a custodian facing nice user experience, proper recovery mechanisms, while actually also facing counterparty risk. But it's not a necessity to make this kind of either-or decision, because smart accounts also are allowing the novelty of so-called hybrid custody. This is a setup where users are the full-time under control of their assets and can delegate certain transactions powers to trusted third parties. But they are always in control of their account and can always tie the cuts to those parties. And we are right now in the beginning of seeing trusted institutions such as banks and insurances to become more and more involved in crypto and becoming a co-signer of transaction. For instance, just monitoring and detecting fraud, or even being involved in recovery schemes. So there is actually now the marriage of a trust in the technology and the trust in regulation and organizations, which is what we think a better setup to unlock mass adoption. But even though hybrid custody and smart accounts in general seem to be a fairly nascent industry vertical, there is already a full-fledged ecosystem building on top of Safe. We are currently seeing over 200 projects building on top of us and actually serving a variety of users and user groups. So we see, for instance, service providers offering their services to retail, institutional users, NFT collectors, DAOs, you name it. And these can also cover from financial solutions up to identity solutions such as WorldCoin. And why are those talented builders choosing Safe? This is also because we are having a really interesting user base. Most of our users are actually thought leaders in their vertical. And for instance, high net worth individuals such as Vitalik Buterin are securing all of their wealth on safes. And this is like just one of the few ones who are storing over $1 billion in a single account. Even more, also NFT collectors such as Punk6529 and others are using Safe to store their valuable NFTs. Just to give you like another proof of the numbers, close to 10% of both Bored Apes and CryptoPunks are secured by safes because this is perceived as the most secure set of high net worth assets. But this is not like where we are finishing. So we are also seeing very, very crypto native projects such as DAOs and VCs using Safe and utilizing all of the benefits which come with smart accounts. But all in all, like, we are under the impression that it's just the beginning. We are just like moving towards smart accounts, and we are still seeing sufficient usage in externally owned accounts. And if any one of you is interested in using Safe, building on top of Safe, or contributing otherwise, feel free to reach out, and we are more than happy to engage. Thank you for your attention.